It's an auspicious welcome to all of you here in this presentation today. My dear friends, once again, I'm Dr. Atul Suryawanshi, is before you, MM College Patsora, District Jalgaon of Maharashtra State. Yesterday, we studied about short story. We studied the important element of short story, few principles, tenets of the short story, characteristics, features of the story. And after that, we studied the select classical short stories in English, which are quite popular and which are very important for the sake of NET and SET exams. So, yesterday, we offer a only fleeting glance to the select stories, and I ask you to go in detail, to search in detail of those stories, so that the content will be more strong, and so that our horizons of the knowledge will broaden. Today, as this is the fifth lecture on short stories and novels, we are going to study few multiple choice questions that have been asked in NET and SET exams. So we are going to study MCQ today. We are going to study the MCQs asked directly in the examination of the NET. So without wasting the time, let us turn towards the first slide here in this presentation. The first question in the series asked in the NET exam. Ernest Hemingway, who was the Nobel winner writer, widely known as the famous American writer, he published his novel in 1929 entitled A Farewell to Arms. This novel, Farewell to Arms, is divided into how many books is the very first question. The four options are 2 books, 3 books, 4 books, and 5 books. So the answer has been darkened here. The answer is D, 5 books. Ernest Hemingway's novel, A Farewell to Arms, deals with the story of Lieutenant Frederick Henry during First World War. When he got wounded in the war, he was hospitalized, and he met a very beautiful nurse in the hospital. Her name was Catherine Barclay. Catherine was a loving personality who fell in love with Lieutenant Frederick Henry, and this is the most romantic love story amid the disastrous and fatal war of First World War. So the moral of this novel is, war is not important, love is important. Okay, this is the moral of this novel, written by Ernest Hemingway, entitled A Farewell to Arms. It's a beautiful story. Arms means weapons of the war, and second arm symbolizes the beautiful arms of the beloved Catherine. So the very title of this novel is quite symbolic. This novel has been divided into 5 books. Very beautiful novel for the study. I request you to study it in detail with the characterization and the theme. Let us turn towards the next question here in the series. Who among the following is not a Jewish American novelist is the question. So here again are four options. The first is J.D. Salinger, the second Henry Green, the third William Faulkner, and the fourth is Philip Roth. The answer has been highlighted here, pinpointed here, and it is Henry Green, who is not a Jewish American novelist. He is an English writer. So now the point is this, that we should study the nationality of the novelists. That the particular writer, the novelist, belongs to which nation. This is the point which has been focused in NET and SET exam. So I request you to search the identity of the writer. The specific writer belongs to which nation is important for the sake of examination. The next question here in this series, let us read it. Read the following statement and a reason given for it. Choose the right response. The first assertion has been given, and it is Dickens' novels are called Newgate novels. Now, what is the reason for it? They are called so because Dickens adulates in these novels the careers and adventures of criminals. So now when we assess this question, when we try to understand this question, the very important term has been denoted here. The very foremost question arises in my mind, that what is Newgate novels? So Newgate novels are the writing on those characters who are associated with the world of crime. Most of the characters, they are criminals. Having that crime-related background, this novel has its special feature, and Dickens is quite popular for writing those novels. So see the options now. The first A, both A and R are true, but R is the correct explanation. The very first option is correct here. Because as I told you that Newgate novel are associated with crime. So the explanation given in the R is appropriate. So now one more thing I want to tell you here humbly, that study Charles Dickens novel. Now most of the times during the examination, Charles Dickens novel has been focused. Charles Dickens initiated his writer with Pickwick Papers when no one was ready to publish his work. And his last unfinished work of Charles Dickens is Edwin Drood. So in between, many novels of Charles Dickens has been asked in the examination. So the humble request to all the students is that you should go for this writer, this novelist. Study Charles Dickens in detail. Search the theme of his novels. Study characterization. Study the theme and see the publications. The very next question here, who among the following writers does not belong to the group, the university wit? Now when we focus on this word, the university wit, the question arises again in the mind that what is this exactly? So university wit simply means the university scholar who studied in Oxford and Cambridge University, who sought education from the reputed and the standard world universities, are university wits. So most of the time the question has been asked in the examination with a negative sense. Not is there. Who does not belong? He is not. Okay. So John Lilly, Thomas Nash, George Pell are university scholars. They belong to the group of the university wits. But Thomas Kidd does not. So he is odd one out. Let us turn towards the next question here in the series. Sir Flopling is a character in Wycherley's The Plain Dealer, William Congreve's The Way of the World, or George Etheridge's The Man of Mode, and Davenant The Platonic Lovers. So the answer has been darkened here. C option. George Etheridge, The Man of the Mode. So Flopling is a character from this novel entitled The Man of Mode, written by the novelist George Etheridge. So my dear friends, again a request is here for you that when we study English literature in objective mode, we should know the name of the novel, the writer, the publication, and the prominent characters in the novel. If our study is like this on the right track, it is very easy to crack the examination in the given stipulated time. So the next question is associated with African literature. Ikemefuna is a character from which novel? When Rain Clouds Gather, The Mimic Men, Things Fall Apart, and The Interpreters are the four options given here. So Ikemefuna is a character from the novel of the famous African writer Chinua Achebe, Things Fall Apart. And whenever we remember this phrase, Things Fall Apart, we should remember the poem written by W. Bates, Things Fall Apart, Center Cannot Hold. In Second Coming W.B., it says this. So this question was also asked in the examination. We have to analyze the question paper. And while doing this, this is the humble journey. Analysis of the question paper is a humble journey in the direction of perfection. Let us turn towards the next question here in the series. Put the following books written by Alexander Pope in a sequence of publication. Answer the questions with the help of the codes given below. The first, Dunciad. Second, Rape of the Lock. An Essay on Man. An Essay on Criticism. Actually, this question is not associated directly with the novels, but it's an important one. C option is the correct one. As we're going to organize the works in a sequence now, we should know the publication of the individual novelist, as well the publication of the other works also. So the fourth is the first one, Essay on Criticism. Then second, The Rape of the Lock. Then first, Dunciad. Then third, Essay on Man is the correct sequence. So one point is very important here, that we should study the works according to chronology. It is asked in the examination to arrange the works according to the dates of the publication. So please see this and study the novels or the poetry, the drama and essays, non-fictions as per the chronological sequence. By heart it, learn it. The very next question here in the series. Dina Morris is a character in George Eliot which novel? The first, Middlemarch. Second, Silas Marina. Third, Daniel Deronda. And the fourth is Adam Bede. So the answer is the D, Adam Bede. From this novel, the character Dina Morris appears. And the original name of the writer George Eliot is Mary Ann Evans. This was also asked in the examination. So now, if Adam Bede is the right answer, we have to see the remaining three options are associated with what exactly? The Middlemarch, the Silas Mariner, and Daniel Girarda. We have to focus, study it, analyze it, so that we will come to know about more in detail about the novels, poetry, drama, essay, fiction, non-fiction, and all that. Let us proceed further. The next question in the series. The Booker Prize, as I told you in my previous lectures, is awarded by the panel of judges to the best novel by a citizen of which country? UK, that means United Kingdom, that means England. B option, the British Commonwealth, or the Republic of Ireland. The third, UK and the British Commonwealth. The fourth, UK and the British Commonwealth, or the Republic of Ireland. You know, the options are very closely associated with each other. So, options are offered in such a way in the examination that the candidates get confused. So, these are baffling, puzzling options. The correct answer is B, the British Commonwealth or the Republic of Ireland is the correct answer of this question. And as I told you about Booker Prize in my previous lecture, we discussed the important works and the writers who received Booker Prize in literature. So the next question here in this series, The Unfortunate Traveler is the work has been authorized by whom exactly? Robert Greene, Thomas Delany, Thomas Nash, or Thomas Lodge? The answer is Thomas Nash. He is the writer of the book The Unfortunate Traveler. The next question here in this series is, the phrase only connect is associated with whom? D.H. Lawrence, James Joyce, E.M. Foster, Virginia Woolf are the options. So now the first and the foremost work is to search the term only connect. Only connect means what? So this is the connectivity of the human beings among themselves. This is the connectivity of the blood relations. This is the connectivity of the human beings from a humanitarian point of view. So this is actually the term is about. And it is associated with the third option, E.M. Foster. E.M. Foster, only connect. So now I humbly want to refer you one book to study the terms in detail. A Glossary of Literary Terms written by M.H. Abrahams should be our Bible now. If you study this book thoroughly, you will come to know about almost all the terms in English literature. So this book is the masterpiece. I repeat again, M.H. Abrahams, A Glossary of Literary Terms, should become Bible for us. So only connect is by E.M. Foster. Let's proceed further. Which of the following book is written by Margaret Atwood? The Stone Angel, No Fixed Address, The Edible Woman, and The Half-Breed? The answer is The Edible Woman. So Edible Woman is the novel written by Margaret Atwood. Now it becomes our duty to search the writer Margaret Atwood in detail. So what are the characters in The Edible Woman? What is the theme of this novel? What is the message of this novel? Such questions should arise in the mind so that the content should become more strong. The next question. Read the following statement and the reason given for it. Choose the right response. The assertion is the first. Othello killed Desdemona in the novel. We studied William Shakespeare's work. What was the reason behind killing Desdemona by Othello? Because Desdemona committed infidelity. Infidelity, what we say, characterless, who was not faithful to Othello. So see, both A and R are true. R is the correct explanation. B, A and R are true, but R is not the correct explanation. A is true, but R is false. A is false, but R is true, are confusing options. The C is the correct option. A is true, but R is false. You know, Desdemona never committed infidelity. She was faithful to Othello, but Othello was suspicious by nature. And this is the most beautiful tragedy ever written in the history of English literature by the Elizabethan dramatist William Shakespeare. So let us turn toward the next question here. Put the following novels of George Etheridge in a sequential order. Answer the questions with the help of the code. The first, Middlemarch. Second, Daniel Deronda. The third, Felix Holt the Racier. And the fourth is Romola. Now, George Eliot, as I told you, the original name of the writer is Mary Ann Evans. Now we have to arrange the chronological sequence of these novels. So A, B, C, D, 4 codes are given, and the D option is the correct one. The fourth, Romola, is the first. Then the second is Middlemarch. Then the third, Felix Holt the Radical. And then the second, Daniel Deronda are the options. So this is very important when we study literature for the competitive point of view, my dear friends. We have to study it as per the chronological sequence of the writing. So I again request you to see the chronology, recite, study, learn the publications of the certain novels, certain work, so that our concept will be very clear during the exam. The next question. Who among the following writer is known for his unforgettable sense of humor and comedy? Is the question. So see this. Who among the following writers is known for his unforgettable sense of humor and comedy? Options are D.H. Lawrence, David Herbert Lawrence, P.J. Wodehouse, Thomas Hardy, and the fourth is John Galsworthy. So John Galsworthy is the English writer who received Nobel Prize for Literature in 1932. He is widely known for his unforgettable sense of humor and comedy in English literature ever. So now our work is to search the works of John Galsworthy, to search why did he receive Nobel Prize in Literature and what are the themes of his work. Is the work for us. Let us turn to the next question here in this series. Isaac Bashevis Singer is African American writer, American Jewish writer, American Indian writer, American Asian writer. Now see, this third option seems to be quite foolish. American Indian writer, American Asian writer. This is also somewhat different. Now the conflict should be here between these two options, African American and American Jewish. The correct option is American Jewish writer. You know, options are very closely associated, so they are confusing, baffling. And in this way, the standard of the NET and SAT examination has been maintained by the panel. You know, they expect certain maturity from the candidates to crack these exams. We should note this. The next. It was a bright cold day in April and the clocks were striking 13 is the opening sentence of which novel? Ulysses, Nostromo, Prom Yellow, and 1984. The correct option is D, 1984. And this is the best dystopian novel. I told you the term dystopia, where bad things Well, crime, disorder, chaos, riots, murders have been included. So this is the opening of 1984. Let us turn toward the next question here in this series. Victor Shklovsky's name is associated with what? Postmodernism, New Historicism, reader response theory, Russian formalism. This is out of track question, you know. This is not associated with the novel. This is associated with the theory. So Russian formalism was actually initiated in 1915. And Victor Shklovsky is associated with Russian formalism. So formalism includes the special feature of the language and the figures of speech to embellish language and to enhance the standard of the language. Russian formalism is quite appropriate theory in English literature. So now our work is to search Victor Shklovsky and to study Russian formalism in detail. The next question here in this series, the period of Queen Victoria's reign is what exactly? Is it 1830, 1837, 1830, 1837 again? You know, very close options have been given here. The B option is the correct one. 1837 up to 1901 was the period of Queen Victoria's reign. So it was Victoria Queen's time. Next question here in this series. Which of the following awards is not given to Indian English writers? Option: the Booker Prize, Sahitya Akademi Award, the Gyanpith Award, and the Whitbread Prize. So Whitbread Prize is the clear-cut option which focuses that it is not associated with Indian English writing. As I told you, we discussed about Gyanpith Award and Sahitya Akademi Award in our previous lectures. Who among the following is credited with the making of the first authoritative dictionary of the English language? So this question has been asked many times in the exam. The exact answer is Dr. Samuel Johnson. He published the Dictionary of English Language in 1755. So please note this question. Have been asked many times in the exam. The next question here in this series. Which of the following novels depict the plight of Bangladeshi immigrants in East London? So the first option, How Far Can You Go? The White Teeth, Unequal Music, and Brick Lane by Monica Ali. So the answer is Brick Lane, written by Monica Ali. So this is the story associated with the Bangladeshi immigrants in East London. So now our work is to search this novel, Brick Lane, see the story, who are the characters, and which year this novel was published, and then we will receive the idea. Which is the correct sequence of the novel of V.S. Naipaul, Vidyadhar Suraj Prasad Naipaul? And the D option is the correct one. The Mystic Mass, The Suffrage of Elvira, then the Miguel Street, The House for Mr. Biswas. This is the correct sequence of Dr. Vidyadhar Suraj Prasad Naipaul's novel, who is the recipient of the Nobel Prize in 2001 for his literary contribution. A House for Mr. Biswas is his best novel published in 1961, which focuses the protagonist's struggle for building his own house. So this is the common man's struggle which the writer has presented. Now V.S. Naipaul's work has been asked many times in the examination. I request you to search all the works of V.S. Naipaul in detail. Next question here in this series. Charles Dickens, A Tale of Two Cities. So which are the two cities? The cities are London and Paris. A Tale of Two Cities written by Charles Dickens begins with the sentence. 4 options. It was the best of time and it was the worst of time is the beginning of the novel. which depict the story of Paris and London, A Tale of Two Cities, written by Charles Dickens, the Victorian writer. So, a point should be noted here that most of the times, the beginning of the novel or the ending of the novel has been asked. They want to check our understanding that whether we have studied the novel in detail or not. They expect detailed reading and study from us. The next question here in this series: which of the following book by Vidyadhar Suraj Prasad Naipaul is subtitled The Caribbean Revisited? The first, is it In a Free State, A Bend in the River, The Middle Passage, An Area of Darkness? So the answer, The Middle Passage. The third option, C option, is the correct one. So now we have to see the main title, major title of the book and the subtitle of the books. Next question in the series: what novel answered to the following description? So this was a 1990 bestseller by a British writer. The work incorporates many genres such as letters, diaries, poetry, as also third-person narratives. The plot here involves two time periods, contemporary and Victorian. The work is a subtitle, a romance. And the options are The Virgin in the Garden, Possession, The Girl in the Polka Dot Dress, and The Sea Lady. The correct answer is Possession. So many times description has been given and it has been asked to identify the novel in the examination. So we should know the features and characteristics of that particular novel when we study. So these points are very important for the sake of exam. The very next question here in this series: who among the following writers asserted Commonwealth literature does not exist? Who says this? And he is none other than Salman Rushdie, who received Booker Prize 2 times. The Nobel aspirant, Salman Rushdie, quite popular for his controversial work, The Satanic Verses and the Moore's Last Sigh. He doesn't believe that the Commonwealth literature doesn't exist. He believes in this reality. So next, David Herbert Lawrence uses the expression "a bright book of the life" to describe what exactly? Is it a novel, dramatic monologue, the Bible, or the short lyric? And the answer is the novel. D.F. Lawrence describes novel as a bright book of life. So see the second option, the dramatic monologue. Robert Browning is associated with dramatic monologue. Mono means a single and log means to speak, where the single speaker is speaking in the poem is a dramatic monologue. Robert Browning. Let us turn towards the next question here in the series. What alternative title to her Frankenstein did Mary Shelley give? So Frankenstein was a monster. And this is the beautiful novel ever written by Mary Shelley. And what is the subtitle? A Gothic tale, a Gothic romance, the modern Prometheus and the modern parable. The answer is C. The modern Prometheus is the subtitle of Frankenstein, written by Mary Shelley. So let us turn toward the next question. Which of the following statements is not true of Lawrence Stone's Tristram Shandy? Okay, so 4 options. It is a linear plot. It opens and ends with the theme of birth. It contains a trip to France. It contains a marble page. So what is not true? The first option is not true concerning this novel. Tristram Shandy, written by Lawrence Sterne. It has a linear plot. It doesn't exactly. Here is a list of the women abandoned by the lovers in Hardy's novels. Thomas Hardy is quite popular for his pessimistic writing during the Victorian era. He says man is the puppet in the hands of cruel destiny. So we have to pick the odd one out here. Is the woman character Fanny Robin? Is it Tess D'Urberville? Is it Martha Saad? Or is it Bathsheba Everdeen? So who has not been abandoned by the lover? And the right option is a D, Bathsheba Everdeen. From the following list, pick out a woman character who does not belong to Amitabh Ghosh novel. Is it Ela, Urvashi, Sonali and Piali? So the option is Urvashi. The B option is the women character who does not belong to Amitabh Ghosh novel. Very next question here in this series. Who among Charles Dickens' character is humble and who is well in? And in Charles Dickens' novel David Copperfield, very clearly it is given that Bacchus is well in. When Bacchus provides this message to Pigoti through David Copperfield, go and tell Pigoti that Bacchus is willing. So willing is the first SMS sent ever in literature. It is believed like this. Mr. Pickwick, Mrs. Gabb, Mr. Humphrey, Nicholas Nickleby, Martin Liddell, Urahib and Bacchus. So the answer is D, Urahib and Bacchus. The next question. The tragedy of the Felix and Porrex is the other title of what exactly? Is it Gorboduc, written by Thomas Nashe? Ralph Reister Doister, written by Nicholas Udall? Damon and Pythias? And Lamentable Tragedy. So the tragedy of Felix and Porrex is the other title of Gorboduc, written by Thomas Nashe. Let it turn towards the next question here in this series. Who among the following is a Nobel laureate? Arkanarine? Is it B, Seamus Heaney? Third, Ted Huey? Or Geoffrey Hill? So the answer is Seamus Heaney. Actually, this question is not associated with the novel because Seamus Heaney is a famous poet and he received Nobel Prize in 1995 for his Bach poems. So Seamus Heaney has been asked many times in the exam. I humbly request you to study this poet in detail, Seamus Heaney. So what are his Bach poems? What is the theme of his poetry? Again, why did he receive Nobel Prize for Literature? Is the matter of investigation. Let's proceed further, my dear friends, without wasting the time as the time is fleeting. Next. In which of the following verse does Mrs. Maltrap appears? The Rivals were written by R.B. Sheridan. She Stoops to Conquer. The Mysteries of Udalpo and The Way of the World. The answer is The Rival of R.B. Sheridan. Next question. Who among the following was a Catholic novelist and intelligence officer, a film critic, and set his fiction in faraway places wreaked by political conflict? Is he Anthony Powell, Evelyn Waugh, William Golding, Graham Greene? And the answer is D, is Graham Greene. So we have to study the background of the writer also. Next question in the series. Who among the following English artists illustrated the novels of Dickens and Walter Scott? Is it Richard Hogarth, Joshua Reynolds, George Cruikshank, and John Tenniel? The answer is C, George Cruikshank. Is the English artist who illustrated the novels of Charles Dickens and Walter Scott. Next question here in this series. The Last of Gulliver's Travel, written by Jonathan Swift, is to what exactly? The land of the Hunim, the land of the Homo sapiens, the land of the hurricanes, and the Newfoundland. The A option is the correct one. Gulliver's Travel is written by Jonathan Swift. It is divided into 4 different sections. The next question here in this series. Madame Marley is a character in which novel? The Great Gatsby, The Portrait of the Lady, The Jungle, The Heart is a Lonely Hunter, and the B option is the correct one, The Portrait of a Lady, in which the character Madame Marley appears. So the next question here in this series, the words, if it were done, when it done, then it were well, it were done quickly, are uttered by Hamlet, King Lear, Othello, or Macbeth. So these are the words uttered by Macbeth. Macbeth, written by William Shakespeare. Which of the following is not a revenge tragedy? Is it Hamlet or the Duchess of Malfi, the Volpone, or Gorbajuk? So as the answer has been pinpointed, focus here, Volpone or the Fox, written by Ben Jonson, is not a revenge tragedy. Which among the following novels has more than one ending? Is it Lucky Jim, which is the story of James Dixon, written by Kingsley Amis, or The Prime of the Jean Braddock, The French Lieutenant Woman, written by John Fowles, or The Clockwork Orange, which is again the dystopian work? C option is the correct. The French Lieutenant's Woman has more than one ending. So now this is more challenging. So this is somewhat baffling. The novel has more than one ending. So we have to search those novels in English literature which has more than one ending. The next question here in this series. Who among the following is not an Irish writer? Oscar Wilde, Oliver Goldsmith, Edmund Burke, and Thomas Gray. The answer is D, the fourth. Thomas Gray is not an Irish writer. So the capital of Ireland is Dublin. So we have to search all the Irish writers. In Ben Jonson's Volpone, the animal imagery includes what exactly? The D option is correct. A and C are correct options. So the A, the fox and the vulture, and the C is the fly, the crow, and the raven. The emergence of the concept of world literature is associated with what exactly? A, B, C, D, 4 options have been given here, and C option is correct. B and C. When John Wolfgang von Goethe and the C, Johann Gottfried Herder are the options. So study what is world literature exactly. Guntur Grass, who received Nobel Prize in 1999 for Tintrum, is a part of the trilogy known as the Dancing Trilogy. The other two novels in this trilogy are the C option, Cat and Mouse, and another third is Dog Ears. Next question. So assertion in As the End of Heart of Darkness, written by Joseph Conrad, Marlowe, who is the narrator of the story, tells a lie to the intended about Mr. Kurz when he tells her the last word he pronounced was your name. So reason Marlowe tells this lie because he is secretly in love with the intended bride and tells her what she wants to hear. Now the B option is correct. Both A and R are true, but R is not the correct explanation of A, remember. So the next question. In Virginia Woolf, to the lighthouse does not symbolizes change in the unchanging world. So the next question. Which of the following novel is not a partition novel? So go and search what is partition novel, how many partition novels are there, what are the themes, what are the characters. So Azadi, written by Chaman Nahal, is a partition novel. Tamas, written by Bhishma Sahani, is also partition novel. Clear Light of Day, written by Anita Desai, is also the partition novel. But That Long Silence is not the partition novel, remember. The next question. Of the following characters, which one does not belong to A House for Mr. Biswas? As I told you, House for Mr. Biswas is the work published in 1961 by the famous writer Vidyadhar Suraj Prasad Naipaul. He received Nobel in 2001, and I told you already. So which of the following character does not belong to this novel? Raghu, Ralph Singh, Dehuti and Tara, and the option is B. Ralph Singh doesn't belong to this novel. House of Mr. Biswas is a common man's struggle to build the house. Identify the novel with the wrong subtitle listed below. Middlemarch, a study of the provincial life is the correct option. Tales of D'Urberville, a pure woman is again correct. The Man of Casterbridge, the man of character is correct one. The Felix Holt, the socialist is the wrong option. Wilkie Collins' novel, The Moonstone, which published in 1868, tells the story of what? So the C option of this question is correct. A fabulous yellow diamond stolen from an Indian shrine is the story about. So we have to search the theme and the summary of the novels in brief also. So the next question. Womanist is to feminist as purple is to lavender. This is an important statement defining the feminist perspective advanced by Toni Morrison or Zora Hurston, Alice Walker or Bell Hooks. The answer is Alice Walker. Alice Walker, Color Purple is very famous. Identify the mismatched pair in the following where characters and William Golding's Lord of the Flies, which published in 1954, fit the Alice Rice pattern of the virtues and vices. So Ralph stands for rationality is correct. Piggy for pragmatism is again correct. Simon for innocence is right. But C option, Jack for pity is not right. You know, Jack is the villainous personality and it stands for devilish. Name the novel in which the protagonist is a war veteran called Tayo. Tayo returns from World War II, thoroughly disillusioned and haunted by violent actions of the wartime. Tayo seeks a consolation and counsel from old Bethany, and the protagonist realizes the importance of the harmonizing humanity and the universe. So which novel is this? The novel is entitled as Ceremony, which describes these 4 points. The next question. Little Nell is a character in Charles Dickens' which novel? And this character, Little Nell, appears in Old Curiosity Shop. Who among the following Indian writer in English has created an identifiable imagined local? An identifiable imagined local appears in the works of R.K. Narayan, Malgudi Days. Which of the following is not about a dystopia? George Orwell, 1984 is dystopian writing. Aldous Huxley's Brave New World, again, this is dystopia. William Golding, Lord of the Flies, which appears in 1954, again, is a dystopian writing. But R.M. Ballantyne's The Coral Island is not associated with dystopia. Put the following novels of Charles Dickens in a sequential order with the help of the code: Great Expectation, Hard Times, Bleak House, and A Tale of Two Cities. So the exact right option is the first A option, 3, 2, 4, 1. 3 means Bleak House, then 2 Hard Times, then 4 A Tale of Two Cities, and then the first Great Expectation. The next question, Thomas Kyd's The Spanish Tragedy was influenced by Seneca. Is the first A option is the right one. The Castle of Otranto is an example. The Castle of Otranto, which published, belongs to the Gothic fiction tradition. Which of the following novels by Vidyadhar Suraj Prasad Naipaul is set in Africa and carries echoes of Joseph Conrad? And that novel is A Pain in the River. Pain in the River. The B option is the correct one. Next novel here in this series. You Can't Do Both is a novel written by whom? John Fawkes, Doris Lessings, Kingsley Amis, and Idris Murdoch. The option is Kingsley Amis. The character Nathan Zuckerman is associated with the fiction of what? And it is associated with Philip Roth. Next option. Molly Bloom is a character in James Joyce, Ulysses. So Margaret Drabble is the author of which writing? And the option is The Witch of Exmoor. The next question. Thomas Paine's The Rights of Man was published in which year? And that year was 1791. And this book, Rights of Man, cast incredible shadow on the famous social reformer here in Maharashtra, Mahatma Jyotiba Phule. He studied this book thoroughly and was deeply impressed by Thomas Paine's philosophy, which is mentioned in The Rights of Man, which published in 1791. The next question. Which of the following novel reconstruct the historical events of the Indian Mutiny? And the novel is the Caesar Krishnapur. So I request you to search this novel, Caesar Krishnapur. Go in detail, search the characters, and study the theme. The next question here in the series, Narayan Swami and Friends, this story, which game offers Swami the best kind of emotional release from the strains and pressures of disagreeable circumstances? The answer is cricket. So the next question. Anthony Burgess' last novel, published in 1993, is called The Dead Man in Deptford. Who is the central character to whom the title refers? The title refers to Christopher Marlowe. And how many parts did Cervantes publish his novel Don Quixote? The Don Quixote has been divided into two parts. The option third is correct one. Now see, the options are confusing. Identify from the following list those that cannot be called war fiction. The Modern Instance, Catch-22, The Age of Innocence, Naked and the Dead. And the third option, A and C, are correct. The Modern Instance and The Age of Innocence. They cannot be called war fictions. Next. Which of the following novels does not belong to Nuruddin Farah's Blood in the Sun trilogy? And the answer is not. So the map, Gifts and Secrets belong to this. Next question. John Haywood wrote a farcical interlude called The Four Ps. So who were the four Ps? The four Ps, the fourth option, the Palmer, the Paidana, the Apothecary, and the Peddler are the four Ps. The next question. The very last passage of the novel is given below. Identify the novel. Welcome, O life, I go to encounter for the millionth time the reality of experience and to forge in the smithy of my soul the uncreated conscience of my race. April 27. Old Father, O Artificer, stand me now and ever in good stead. It is mentioned in Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man, James Joyce. Which of the novels by John Banville tells the story of the group of the travelers who arrive on a small island and stumble upon the house of Professor Kurzer, whose relationship is a painting entitled The Golden World by the fictional Dutch artist named The Woblin plays a central role? And the correct option is the ghost. The next question here in the series. Which novel of Kazuo Ishiguro is narrated by the Japanese widow living in England and draws on the destruction and rehabilitation of the Nagasaki? The answer is Pale View of Hells. Which of the two novels of the Jane Austen have the spa town in Bath as a primary location? So the third option, C and D, are correct options. Northanger Abbey and D, Persuasion. Leo Tolstoy, Anna Karenina's closing lines present a sad reflection. Is it the Evelyn freshness? The third option is the correct one. Levian's affirmation that whatever happens to him, life is not meaningless but unquestionably meaningful. So life is meaningful. Has been presented in Leo Tolstoy's Anna Karenina. The next. Which of the following novel begins with the prologue under the title The Storming of Seringapatam, saying, I address these lines written in India to my relatives in England? The answer is The Moonstone by Wilkie Collins. The next question. It has been described as the novel without the predecessors, the product of an original mind, and become immediately popular. It is a peculiar blend of the pathos and humor, though the pathos is sometimes overturned to the point of becoming offensively sentimental. The novel was published in 1760. What is the name of the novel? And the novel is Tristram Shandy, written by Lawrence Stearns. The next question here in the series. The son of a joiner who was Apprenticed as a printer, he remained a printer throughout his life. He was asked to prepare a series of the modern letters for those who could not write for themselves. This humble task taught him the art of expressing himself in letters. Who is the novelist? And he's Samuel Richardson. Samuel Richardson. Next question. Whom does Mirabel deceive into believing that he loves her in the way of the world? The answer is Lady Wishport. The Way of the World, written by William Congreve. Which among the following novels was written in 1922? Ulysses, Jacob's Room, Aaron's Rod were published in 1922, but The Passage to India was not published in 1922. Next question. Here in this series, D.H. Lawrence popularized the concept of what in his novels, and he popularized the concept of primitivism in the novels. To search primitivism, my dear friends. So the next question here in this series of the timeless waiting, we have to conclude this within the stipulated time. The protagonist returns with an admonition. The diamond sent to him for smuggling out a packet of the diamonds as bribe. This sin occurs in one of the novels of the Graham Greene. Identify the novel. And the novel is The Heart of the Matter. Heart of the Matter. Next question. From the following women character in Hardy's novel, choose the odd one out. Bathsheba Everton, Euchastia Way, Elizabeth Jane, Elisita. Elizabeth Jane is odd man out. The next question. Which novel opens thus? Whether I shall turn out to be the hero of my own life, or whether that station will be held by anyone else. These pages must show David Copperfield was published in 1850 by Charles Dickens. So the next question here in this series. Which of the following is not an Asian Canadian writer? She is Mina Alexander. Let us turn towards the next question here in this series. George Eliot attempt to write a historical novel of the Italian Renaissance was not successful. So which of the novel? Which of the novel? And the novel is Romola. Romola, remember. Let us turn towards the next question here in this series. In which novel does the hero, driven by passions and revenge, add a new dimension to the concept of suffering? That novel is Wuthering Heights, written by Emil Branti. Wuthering Heights. So these are the only sample questions, my dear friends. This is the iceberg only, and we have to explore just below it in the ocean and search the all treasures of literature. Now this is the end of today's presentation. My dear friends, I think that the questions asked in the NET and SET examination will make your concept clear. Now you have to analyze these questions. Most of the time the chronology has been asked, the description has been given, the beginning and the ending line have been pinpointed, the chronological sequence, characters. So we have to study from this point of view. The time has come to say bid adieu to you for today. Thank you very much for being with me, always very positive, my dear friends. I am waiting for your positive feedbacks. If you need any improvement, please suggest me in the chat box. Thank you very much. Have a nice time. God bless you all. Jai Hind.